Ой, не знаю, как сейчас пойдет.
It's a control panel.
Так что мне надо в итоге сделать, я маленько не понимаю. Соединить. Я вижу только один пока типа вариант, что у меня вот эти штуки.
These wooden planks are lifted by a pulley system. They must be... These wooden planks... Located where they are, they won't be a big help. Located where they are... These wooden planks... Located where they... Located where they are, they... Located... Located...
Как они должны быть установлены, бля, объясните мне.
Located where they are.
Блять, тут минимум каких-то возможностей движения, типа. Как они должны быть установлены, я хуй знаю.
Incredible that this thing located where they these wooden planks located where they are, they won't be a The light filtering through these windows is just enough for me to see what's inside this shipyard. Rather pointless. These wooden planks are lifted by a pulley system. They must located where
Как их установить еще? Блядь, я не понимаю. Бля, я может что-то не догоняю, блядь, или что? Ну это очевидно, что я что-то не догоняю. Только чего именно я не догоняю, блядь. Не могу догнать, чего я не догоняю. Бля, ну выглядит как будто бы логично, что по ней можно пройти.
located where they are. It's a control panel. Located where they are. Located. Incredible. It's pretty. Located where they are, they won't be a big help.
Бля, как их надо установить? Ну ё-моё, ну я не понимаю. Ну тут мало вариантов, блядь. Ну я не знаю, тут вариантов типа пиздец мало.
Located where they are, they won't. Hey, kid.
I miss him.
Nothing. There's a panel. It seems to work now. Better not touch it.
Ну, даже так. Бля, я хуй знает, я не понимаю. Как надо поставить?
Yes, if I position them like this, I should be able to reach the opposite side of the shipyard. Good. It's time to test our emergency bridge. Let's get the girl and go.
Ну, недолго
In the
мучиться.
balance. I'm always in the balance. Whether it's a whiskey bottle or wooden planks, it makes no difference. My life is always in the balance.
Смелое заявление.
Just a pile of junk. Boat launches that, luckily, will never see the sea. The wood is starting to rot, and the nails are completely rusted. There's a door on the opposite side. I'm certain that it leads to the port's entrance. I doubt I'd be able to open the door as long as there's this bin in the way. It probably weighs at least double my weight. It's impossible to move it as long as it's full. Did you take me for one of those guys who shoots at every little thing? We're not at a shooting range. I don't see how I could use them together. Whatever these barrels are holding, I'm more than certain that it's not usable anymore.
Гвоздь, доску с ржавыми гвоздями, типа.
Maybe one of the nails used on these. This nail isn't coming out. The rust doesn't seem to
Ни
have
хрена себе
corroded
там
it
гвоздь.
completely. It can still be used.
Я думал, там гвоздь, типа обычный гвоздь. Соточка там хотя бы максимум, но это что-то какие-то гигантские гвозди. Мне, по сути, одного хватит.
If I can put a hole in the bottom of the barrel, I could empty it. Once it's empty, it shouldn't be a problem to move it. Good. Now I can leave this damn shipyard. John?
Oh, you here? Where you go?
Nowhere in particular. Start the car. We have to leave quickly.
Quickly? What have happened? You have ended in trouble again?
Enough questions. Get ready to leave. I have to get something from the yard, and then we'll go.
I don't like this. You go to port without girl, and now girl in my cab.
It's not your cab.
Oh, always looking at detail. Anyway, it's not normal find girl at port. At port, they're fish, boat, homeless people, not good.
At the port, you find whatever is left behind. Until now, I found a dead body and a kid. Maybe someone else was luckier.
You need go to police. I don't want to be accused of kidnapping because of you.
Forget the police and drive.
Ah, pointless talking to you.
I've heard that before, but people keep trying.
And you still not tell me where we going.
Someone is looking for this girl, and it looks like they would do anything to get her. Taking her to my house would be stupid. You only need half a brain and a telephone book to figure out where I live. Hence, I need a safe place. John, you wait here and watch the girl.
Now I be babysitter?
Right. It'll be good experience for when you have kids.
I already have kids, but they far
Я
away.
You left them in China?
No,
задумался о
Detroit. They
своем и
have Chinese
прослушал, что надо
restaurant.
сделать.
Whatever. Let's forget about it. Just take care of the
Ну,
girl.
в смысле, я понял, что... По-моему, он сказал, домой, да, надо зайти что-то? Что-то сделать дома? Что именно?
No, I don't trust Sean alone with the girl. Greta's place is closed.
Taxi.
Hey you, leave seat in my cab alone. You no bites them.
Those two seem to be having fun. Better not disturb them. I don't know who lives there, and I... No, I don't... No. No, I...
Подожди, а что?
Boo.
Can you stay still, you annoying kid?
Those two seem to be having fun. Better not disturb them.
Funny face.
No, stop.
Those two...
Taxi.
Hey you.
Those two seem to... It's all dark in there. Rather pointless. Greta! Damnation! Greta! Answer me!
Who is this?
Greta, it's Jack.
Jack? Do you know what time it is?
I know, Greta, but I need your help.
You can't make up your mind on what brand of whiskey to get drunk on?
It's got nothing to do with booze. Open up.
First, tell me why you're at the door to my place in the middle of the night.
Open up and I'll tell you.
I have no intention of opening this door unless you give me a good reason to do so. What was that?
The reason why I'm here.
But that's a kid's voice. What trouble are you in?
Let me in and I'll tell you the whole story. While I'm explaining the whole thing, Greta helps me with my busted lip. That ape at the port almost ripped off my whole jaw. I tell her about Sean, the girl, and why I came here. After some convincing, she agrees to take care of the girl. When she's done cleaning me up, she takes the girl upstairs and is kind enough to leave a bottle of whiskey on the table. Ignoring the fact that my cut lip might reopen, I down a few glasses. I need to relax, and nothing relaxes me like a good whiskey.
Алкаш. Главный герой алкаш. Вот я пока что это понял. Он второй раз за ночь набухивается уже. Второй раз за ночь. То есть это не разные дни.
Wake up. We need to get on board. Right. We have a boat to catch.
Это мне показывают Маклейна.
Is this where you're bored?
Son, didn't anyone ever tell you to say hello before you start asking questions?
I'm in a hurry.
Yeah, you kids today are always in a hurry. You're always running around and only doing things halfway. Things take time, otherwise you just end up with a bunch of crap.
I'll keep that in mind, but I need to get on board urgently.
Son, I don't know what brought you and that little girl here, but this isn't a tourist port. Only sailors and fishermen leave from here, and you don't seem to be either. If you really need a ship, you can go to Riverside. There, with a couple of bucks, you'll find dozens of well-dressed sailors who will be more than happy to ferry you around the East River and tell you all the juicy details about the city.
I'm not a tourist and I need to leave from here. Now.
The only way for you to leave from here is as a sailor. No nautical documents, no access.
Ну это тварь какая.
I have to board. It's a matter of life and death.
I'm sorry, but like I already said, without documents, I can't let anyone leave from here.
Forget about it.
Whatever.
Окей. Ну, наверное, он единственный человек, который здесь
First, I
сейчас.
have to go through all the procedures to board. I don't know the time or the pier where the Saint Marie. That's the only thing I can... John Ford. Born in Portland, 1898. Here are my papers.
So your name is John Ford.
Right. A case of homonymy.
What ship do you need to board, John Ford?
The Saint Marie. Saint Marie something. I don't remember the whole name.
The Sainte Marie de la Mer. I know that you aren't a sailor or a fisherman, but at least try to study your part better for the next time, son.
There won't be a next
Спасибо, что
time.
я вообще хоть этот
One last
отрывок
thing.
запомнил.
The girl's boarding documents are in order, but her name isn't on them. Is she your daughter?
Yes, she's my daughter.
What's her name?
Emily. Emily Ford.
Okay, the documents are in order. The Sainte Marie de la Mer will dock in a few hours.
Thanks.
Good luck, son. You'll need it.
Я так понимаю, на корабль он так и не сел. Странная вставка, зачем она нужна была, непонятно.
Jack.
Типа показать, откуда девочка, но все равно непонятно, кто она
Jack.
такая. Дочь его, не дочь.
Jack.
Джек напился вискаря, у него все... О, Джек. Подъем.
It seems like my bar is making you sleepy lately.
It was just a few seconds of
Да-да-да.
fatigue.
You were saying a name during your moment of fatigue.
What name?
You were talking about an Emily. Who's that?
No, it's no one. I just had a bad dream. Speaking of which, did you take care of the girl?
Yes. She's sleeping peacefully in my room now. Maybe you better go to bed too. You're dead on your feet.
I can't leave the girl here and go away.
Calm down. I'll take the opportunity to clean the joint a little. Oh, you should also tell me what do I have to do with your new friend?
Who?
The Chinese cab driver?
Ah, Sean. I almost forgot about him. I'm not crazy about the idea that he might be going around telling half the world that he found a girl at the port. It's not like you could...
Keep him here?
I know I'm asking you a lot, Greta.
Don't worry. I'll keep him here until he wakes up. But you owe me a favor.
As soon as this thing's over, I'll buy you dinner at one of those clubs on the Upper East Side that you like so much.
Sure. Anyway, get out of here before you fall asleep on my bar again.
Так, мне предлагают пойти поспать. Я правильно понимаю?
Good evening, De Niro.
Hi, Slavansky.
I guess you got my letter.
Yes, thanks for your kindness.
Okay, so you know I'm not joking. And I heard about your mishaps tonight. It was definitely bad night for you.
Where'd you get this information from?
I always know everything about my renters. I like to know what people who live in my apartment are up to.
Right. No vested interest there.
Exactly, De Niro. If you want to avoid any unfortunate problems, I suggest you pay me that back rent.
Сколько он должен?
I wouldn't want anyone call police tonight and tell them some bad things about you or your habits.
Are you threatening me?
Absolutely not. But to be safe, you could pay me what you owe me.
I already told you that I'll pay you next week.
Heard that old story too many times, De Niro. I want my money now.
Damn Russian skinflint. Here's your money.
Okay, De Niro. This way we can get back to our pleasant owner-renter relationship, huh?
Keep the money, and your pleasant relationship.
Anyway, I want to show you my loyalty to renters. I find out about your misadventures from police detective.
A police detective?
Da, one Ballard. He woke me up in middle of night to ask about you. And when he found you one year, he asked to see your apartment.
Did you let him in?
And of course, I don't have any intention of upsetting police to protect a renter who always pays late like you, Del Niro.
Tell me about this police detective.
What do you want to know?
What kind of guy was he?
He introduced himself as Detective Ballard of State Police. He was pretty tall, had dark skin, was well dressed. He spoke kind of funny, seemed like a foreigner.
What did he do when he went into my apartment?
I don't know. He wanted to go in alone, but he was quick. He seemed unhappy when he left.
Dannazione. Malone is trying to frame me. Who knows what that guy was hoping to find in my apartment? I'm not interested in anything else.
Good.
Why isn't the heat working?
Problems with boiler. It doesn't want to turn on.
Did you call a technician?
Nah, technicians are good for nothing and want much money. Boiler is solid. A few adjustments, it'll be like new.
Until it breaks down again next month. Goodbye, Slavansky.
Goodbye, Del Niro.
A fold-away bed. A few hours of sleep should get me back in shape.
Так, опять походу Маклейна нас переносит.
While Emily is asleep in the cabin, I sneak for a smoke on the deck of the boat. We'll be off to Canada soon, leaving New York, Professor Zindler, and this whole mess behind us. We made it. We're safe, I think. But the barrel of a gun between me shoulder blades makes me think otherwise. It's the Turk. He found us. With a sleight of hand worthy of a surgeon, he slides his hand over me holster, puts on the safety, and takes me gun. He pushes the gun into me back and starts talking with that horrible accent of his. He's talking about something, but I'm not listening. I'm too focused on finding a way to get out of this situation. But I can't think of anything. If I make one false move, the Turk will pump my gut full of lead. All of a sudden, Fortune smiles on me. A big wave hits the boat, sending it rocking. The Turk loses his balance. A fraction of a second, and I'm on him. His gun lets off a shot. I ignore it. I don't have time to figure out what it hit. I gather all my strength and head for the hold. The Turk falls like a sack of bricks. That should keep him in line for a little while. Grabbing Emily, I get off the boat. They know where I am, and I have to hurry up and run away. I don't have much time. I have to find a place to hide Emily. If the Turk got to me, it won't take the others long to get here too.
Ну, походу, я должен спрятать ее там, где Дельнера ее нашел.
The door is locked with a padlock, but it's been partly corroded by salt. If I could find something to use as a lever, I could break it. I was able to get a part of the plate off. By using that piece of metal as a lever, I should be able to break the padlock. One good hit and the lock breaks without any problems. I try to get Emily to enter the shipyard, but she's afraid. I put one of my darts around her neck and I tell her we're playing a game. I'll count to 30, she has to hide, and I'll come looking for her. I'll whistle every now and then with my horn, and she has to do the same when she hears it. I tell her to never come out of her hiding spot because I have to find her. If she hides well, I'll give her a toy all for herself. Emily heads for the shipyard. From her eyes, I can see she didn't buy the story about the game, but she knows she needs to do it. The kid's on the ball. The hole in my lungs was getting worse and worse. It's starting to get hard to even breathe. With my last bit of energy, I head towards the entrance. I get to the outside telephone near the harbour master's office and I call the police. Their intervention won't help much, but at least it will put a lot of people on guard and that will put the brakes on the Turk's friends. Then I call the last person I ever thought could help me, Jack. I cover the telephone with a handkerchief so he doesn't recognize my voice. If he knew it was me, he'd never come. The telephone starts ringing and someone picks up on the other end. It's Jack answering. I make up the first lie that comes into my head to get him here. Halfway through the telephone call, the lines dropped. They cut the electricity in the telephone lines. They're here. I did everything I could, but now all that's left is to wait for the end, and I certainly don't want to do it here. If I have to die, I want to do so somewhere decent with the sound of the waves in my ears and the sight of the moon slashing through the rainy sky. Yes, it's a good place for a goodbye.
Так, в итоге-то кто эта девочка, кто за ним, блядь, гонится? Нихуя непонятно. Что он сделал-то? Это как-то связано с тем, что они в прошлом сделали, когда были в полиции?
Dannazione! I keep having these dreams, if you can call them dreams. They're so real. The port, the girl, Sean, and then that hitman, that Turk. It all seems to match. How is that possible? How can a dream be so real?
Да,
How
с
can a
чего ему
dream
снятся
explain
такие сны?
things I don't know? Maybe I better knock it off with the questions and get up. I must have slept a couple of hours. That's more than enough for a hardened insomniac like me. Come on, Jack. The night's still young, and there are people out there who would love to see you dead. And maybe one of them is the guy who last night was pretending to be Inspector Ballard. I'd better ask Slavonsky a few more questions. No thanks. I don't think I'd make a good porter. Slavonsky's Porter Lodge. There's a note. I'm on the 6th floor fixing broken boiler. Better have a little talk with Slavonsky.
На 6-м этаже. Славянский сак. Или он за second floor, там сказали.
Slavonsky.
I working on boiler. Can't talk now.
I have to find a way to keep Slavonsky away from that wreck of a so-called boiler. Apartment 607. Odd. I've never met anyone who lived in this apartment since I moved here. I have better things to do than knock on strangers' doors. Given how often these radiators work, they're more like pieces of furniture than part of the heating system. It's off. It's off. It's off. It's the power generator for this floor. It goes out at least once a week. No, better not touch. Slavonsky has covered every inch of this building with posters of incomprehensible Russian movies, shows, and exhibitions. By now, I know them by heart, even though I have no idea what they say. 6th floor. This sign is the only thing left of the elevator. It was walled up a few years ago because there wasn't any money for the maintenance. Slavonsky sucks. It was definitely the kids from the 3rd floor. The only thing they do besides yelling and playing in the halls is annoy Slavonsky with this kind of stuff. Just empty boxes. A vain attempt to try to make this place more elegant. Slavonsky has covered every inch by now. No thanks. From the stench, I'd say this trash bag is... Apartment 612. I have better... I'm not going to play it here. I don't see how I could use them together.
Что это?
Greta's handkerchief. I'd better wash it before I return it. My blood's still on it. Slavonsky's working on the boiler. Slavonsky's working on the boiler. Slavonsky!
I had no...
I have to find a way to keep Slavonsky away from that wreck. It's the middle of the night, not the... No clue. It's off. I don't see how I could use... No, it doesn't make any... I don't see how I could... It's the power...
И как его отвлечь?
No, better not. An umbrella in an umbrella. I think this is a matryoshka, even if from Slavansky's. There's a no. No thanks. These trash bags give it that certain touch of... It's a notice from... All tenants are asked not to leave strollers near building stairs. It must be the kids from the 3rd floor. I've got to... My 20s.
New York Opera.
Can you...
What's the... Whatever you...
Bye.
Президенту, а может реально президенту позвонить? Я что-то вообще не понимаю, типа, как его отвлечь, блядь? Что вы хотите? По-любому, блядь, какая-то простая хуйня. А, вот же, подожди, труба.
These pipes look like they're about to burst. Extreme times call for extreme measures.
Damn boiler. Now it's not even making steam. How the hell does it work? How come there's no more steam? I don't touch anything.
Slavansky.
What can I do for you, Del Nero?
Tell me more about the guy you let into my apartment.
What do you want to know?
I have a question.
What is it now?
It doesn't make any sense. Did this Detective Ballard have a scar on his face?
How do you know?
It doesn't matter how I know. Did you see a scar?
Yes, he had a long scar on his left cheek, now that I think of it. What does it mean?
That the man that you let into my apartment wasn't a police detective.
He had New York State Police badge.
I can get a badge like that for a quarter.
Fake badge? I could not know that.
It doesn't matter. It looks like his visit to my apartment wasn't very helpful to him. I have to talk with Victoria, and I should also check the Melville docks. Maybe the guy left some trail. Goodbye, Slavansky.
Goodbye, Del Nero.
От какого перепугу ему вообще приснился этот чел? Ему каким-то ясновидящим стал от вискаря, что ли? Не понимаю. Какой-то тут волшебный вискарь наливают или что? Или в чем еще причина может быть?
Hey, that was Chan's cab. Where the hell is he going?
Hello?
The taxi company, please.
Coming up. Hello, Binkle Taxi. What can I do for you?
It's about the missing cab driver.
Ah, you're the guy who called earlier.
Yep, still me.
What can I do for you?
If you found out that he isn't really missing, but that he's just pulling your leg, what would you do?
Nothing. This guy's the only one with the balls to deal with those thugs in South New York. He could even kill a passenger tomorrow, but no one is moving his fat Mexican ass from his cab. No one else wants his area, so we have to keep him.
Good to know. Bye.
Bye.
Подожди. Мне ж по факту нужно такси, чтобы доехать до полицейского
New York
участка.
Opera-
Или что, блядь?
Wait a second.
Прям что-то руки сохнут, наверное, от ветра.
Hello,
Надо помазать их кремушком.
I've changed.
Bye.
Hi, Greta.
Jack, I thought you were resting.
I slept enough.
It hasn't even been 2 hours since you left from here.
Right. I think that my insomnia is getting worse. How's the girl?
She's sleeping upstairs in my bed. Did you find out who she is?
Nothing yet. Where did Sean go?
I don't know. I stepped out for a second, and he wasn't in the joint anymore.
Dannazione.
Are you afraid he might go to the police and tell them everything?
It would be a dumb idea, but dumb enough for him to actually go and do it. Did Sean show up?
No, Jack. I'm sorry.
About Smiley.
I hate that guy.
He is often at the joint.
Tell me about it. He's here every day. He always gets here at 9 p.m., sits down, orders his stupid blueberry cocktail, and plants himself there. I hate him.
Do you have any idea why he always comes to your joint?
Unfortunately, yes. The slimeball decided he wants to marry me. He knows that I'm having a tough time with the joint, and he hopes I'll say yes rather than end up on the street.
That's so like Smiley. I didn't think he had a crush on you.
I'd rather not know it either.
Do you know anything about his new job?
Well, he talked to me about it, but he was vague with me as well.
Whatever he's mixed up in, I'm sure that there is something fishy going on.
You know him. He's never had a job in his life that could be considered legal.
I don't have anything else. Okay.
Bye, Jack.
Как дела в баре? Давай
Hi,
спросим.
Jack.
How's the joint going?
Not good.
Let's change.
Я уже насчет
Окей.
на эту
Bye,
тему с ней разговаривал. Так, мне надо к Виктории. Подожди, а что, я могу позвонить в полицию?
Hello?
Give me.
I'll put you. Please wait.
Police, what can I do for you?
Sorry.
Yeah, be careful.
Так.
There's nothing interesting there.
Подожди, он просто перепарковался?
Nolera, you again? Didn't go to sleep?
I slept enough. And what about you? Where were you?
Me? I always here.
You weren't here earlier on. Not in the pub or out in the street.
Блять, это реально теперь мой личный
I had to
водитель
move cab
получается.
from front of pub. Cab cannot stay there.
I didn't think you cared so much about the traffic laws. Anyway, we have to go somewhere.
Where?
Почему вы увидели, он как-то слишком отличается картинка от всех вещей, которые там стоят. Мы сейчас еще, конечно, идем в Эльдорадо посмотрим. Вот. Но я что-то не знаю, он прям, по характеристикам схожий. Ну, он же типа такой же, как это мне скинул Xiaomi. Просто на Нессе Xiaomi этого не было. А здесь он чисто в коробке, даже посмотреть, наверное, не очень помню, что я по цену. Она цену сказала? А, что? Там у нее 165 и 180 должно быть. Да, где?
Да, блин, по большому счету по барабану 180, 165 ты разницы не поймешь. Тебе нормально будет даже 140 Гц, 144 бывает мониторы. Как бы вот, типа плавность будет и там, и там. Главное не меньше. Ну, тебе.
Да, блин, по большому счету по барабану. Почему в видео, но он как-то слишком отличается картинка от всех.
Ну, еще матрицы. Есть VA матрица, есть IPS. Наверное, у него просто VA матрица, а у тех других IPS, и поэтому они немножко цветами отличаются. Ну, сложно сказать, какой из них лучше, какой хуже. Ну, просто отличия в цветах есть небольшие. Вот у меня, кстати, два монитора, которые сейчас стоят, они у меня тоже оба на разных матрицах. Который 165, он у меня VA, а который 75 Гц, он у меня IPS. Но, блядь, опять же, я тебе говорю, критической разницы вообще по сути нет. То есть там только если сравнивать, то ты найдешь разницу в цветах. А так, ну, сложно сказать.
The police department, Hoboken.
Whatever you want.
Как к себе домой, ё-моё.
It looks like Victoria isn't there. Maybe the officer on duty knows where I can find her.
Так. Так.
Hi, officer.
How can I help you?
Do you know where I can find Sergeant Diaz?
Sergeant Diaz is out of town, but don't ask me where she is.
I guess you don't even know when she's coming back.
That's right. So save yourself the trouble of asking anything else. If you really want to know where Sergeant Diaz is, ask Malone. He's the one who sent her out of town.
Dannazione. I'll bet Malone sent Victoria away on purpose. She was the only one who could have helped me. I'd like to talk to Malone again.
Listen, I'm fed up with you. If you want to go talk to the...
Del Nero, you finally decide to give a full confession?
I was looking for Sergeant Diaz.
Sergeant Diaz isn't here. I thought it'd be better to assign her to a case outside the city.
Afraid that she could help me, Malone?
In the situation you're in, Del Nero, not even the President of the United States could help you. She paid your bail, but that only gave you a few more hours of freedom, nothing else.
I've received a visit tonight. A guy who claimed to be a police officer searched my apartment.
Don't make up stuff. I didn't order any search.
I never said he was a police officer. I just said that he claimed to be one. The owner of my apartment believed him, and the guy had a nice private viewing of my personal things.
I don't understand why you're telling me this, Del Nero. You aren't dumb enough to think that a story like this would turn my suspicions elsewhere, are you?
I gave up a long time ago on trying to convince pigs to fly.
Careful with what you say and tell me what you want.
I have reason to believe that the person who paid me this visit is part of a criminal organization.
Yeah, it looks like you have a lot of enemies, Del Nero. I suggest you take it easy with your nighttime visitors. Your ex-partner hung with a rough crowd in Los Angeles.
What crowd?
It looks like Black Lily was on him.
Black Lily? The mob in Los Angeles?
Exactly, Del Nero. It looks like your time in the slammer might not be the worst thing that could happen to you.
Yeah, the typical choices that life always presents me with.
If you want protection, I can offer you a stay in one of our cells.
I'd rather be shot than eat that swill that you call a meal. I've already tried it.
Now the choice is yours.
I have some questions about Sean.
Why should I answer your questions? You haven't thought of investigating. We aren't in a...
If I do nothing, I'll end up behind bars. Your threat.
Provoke.
Goodbye.
Так, короче, понятно. С Викторией я поговорить не могу. Надо валить, значит, на...
Black Lily was after Sean. It's not as bad as you might think. At least I have a lead to follow now. I need to find some information on this organization. A while ago, I got a journalist, a certain Moore, out of trouble. He was investigating the Mafia in New York. Maybe he'll be able to give me some more information about Black Lily's activities. His number will definitely be in the phone book.
Телефонная книга есть у меня дома, да, насколько я помню. Ой. Не это, такси, вот такси.
Ah, you.
Essex.
Okay.
A manual on process. I must have been drunk. A series of as if there. The only useful thing on this shelf is the new. I should be able to find Moore's number in the phone book.
По 50.
I don't see anything useful. I don't see anything. Let's see if I can find Moore. I just remembered the last name, but he had a pretty unusual first name. I'll remember it if I see it written.
Мур, Вальтер, Виолетта, Виктор, Сэм, Рой, Филипп. Бля, какое необычное имя. Николас, Марк, Ирвин.
No, that's not the Moore.
Брэд, Аль.
No, that's not the.
Мун.
No. 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 Violetta Moore. That's the name.
Так это она или
What
он?
kind of name is Violetta for a guy?
Да?
Anyway, his number is 555-4897. I hope he's still alive. This
Пятерки 48-97.
New York.
Can you dial?
What's the number?
Violetta Moore.
Ну да, имя для Москвы интересное. Виолетта.
555-4897.
Wait a second.
У меня на одной из недавних работ
Am
была
I speaking with
знакомая
Violetta
такая
Moore?
Виолетта.
You're talking with his ghost.
Девушка.
It's the middle of the night. Who the hell is calling at this hour?
I'm Del Nero, the detective that.
Del Nero. Old son of a gun.
I see you still remember me.
Hell, you saved my skin in that story with the syndicates a few years ago. How could I forget you, old buddy? How you doing?
Same old.
Bottle in the hand and bills to pay, huh?
More or less.
You must have a good reason to call in the middle of the night.
I need some information.
Well, you called the right number. You give me a name and I'll tell you all about the skeletons in his closet.
Do you know an organization called Black Lily?
Damn, you don't mess around. It's better not to step on those guys' toes if you don't want to find yourself neck-high in shit.
What do you know about them?
Black Lily is one of the strongest mafia families in Los Angeles. In the mid-1920s, they started to grab power when the other families were busy fighting amongst themselves. They figured out that the time of gangsters armed with Thompsons was winding down, and they started to make headway corrupting and forming alliances with politicians. No contrabands or killings. They got what they wanted with cold, hard cash. In Los Angeles, they say that Black Lily doesn't kill you, it just steals your soul.
Do you have any names for me?
How many do you want, bud? The head of the organization is a certain Tommaso Venanzi, one of your compatriots. But don't think of him as a classic Italian-American gangster. Venanzi is an attorney and he comes from a good family. He's smart enough to know that greasing the right hand is worth more than 1,000 armed men.
And who greases those palms in New York for him?
A half-Canadian called Samuel Cutter. He's an attorney too, if I remember correctly.
Samuel Cutter. I think I've already heard that name before.
You definitely read about him in the papers. He was tried for the murder of 4 policemen a while ago. Came out of it as clean as a baby's ass when it gets off the changing table. But he made a mistake. He underestimated the value of the public opinion.
What do you mean?
Cutter bought off everyone at that trial, even the court usher. But the press figured it out and started to ask questions. Nowadays, the right headline in the paper sends more heads rolling than the guillotine during the French Revolution. The palms Cutter greased pulled away because they were afraid of a scandal and left him all alone. Greasing palms is a good strategy, Jack, but you always need to remember that you're dealing with people.
What happened to Cutter?
That's the best part. Cutter was found innocent at the first trial, but there was another one a few months later, and it didn't turn out as well for him.
Did he go to jail?
Yeah, he was locked up, and then he was shut up. They found him in his cell with a knife in his back. This sent the entire organization here in New York crumbling down. And with it, all the speculations about the involvement of politicians in white-collar crime came to an end.
So they all saved their faces.
That's right, Jack. Cutter's death was as fortunate as it was suspicious.
Well, at least I have a name now. Samuel Cutter. And if he has ever been arrested before, I'm sure that the police archives will have a nice file about him. I'd better go there. Do you know anything about a guy called the Turk?
No, pal, this name doesn't tell me anything. But it doesn't sound like someone you should get too chummy with.
Definitely not. Did you ever hear the name Sean McClane?
Sean McClane? No, pal, nothing. Never heard of him.
Thanks for the information, Moore.
No problem, pal. If you...
Подожди, я на какой-то не ответил, да? Ой, что-то не спросил у него.
Hello?
Can you...
What's the number?
Veal...
1 second.
Hello?
It's Jack.
What is it, old pal?
It's about...
Shoot.
Do you have...
How many do you want? The head of the organization is a certain Tommaso Venanzi, one of your compatriots. But don't think of him as a Venanzi is an attorney and he comes from a good family. He's smart enough to know that greasing the right hand is worth more.
And who greases those palms in New...
A half-Canadian called Samuel Cutter. He's an...
Samuel...
You definitely... He was tried for the murder, but he made a mistake.
What do you mean?
Cutter bought off... Nowadays, the palms greasing...
What happened to...
That's the best. Cutter was found...
Did he go to...
Yeah, he was... This sent the...
So they all...
That's right. Cutter's death was as fortunate as it was...
Well, at least I have a name now. And if he has ever been arrested... What do you...
Black Lily is one of the strong... In the midnight, they figured out no contraband in Los Angeles.
Thanks.
No problem.
Так, Сэмюэль Картер. Я только не пойму теперь, что делать. Мне как-то не обозначили мои теперешние действия, какие вообще должны быть.
Where you want to go this time?
The Melville Port...
We see.
Hi.
Police again? What?
I'm not a police...
No. Then who? You're not one of those dumb journalists.
I'm a private detective.
Well, I don't care who you are. You'll find...
I guess so. Anyway, I just have a few... What do you know about what happened here tonight?
I know that one guy, and he picked this port to do it. That's what I know.
You don't seem too surprised.
It's not the first time, and it won't be the last. That's all.
Has it happened before?
You could set your watch by it, and just like my rheumatism. This port has its share of some of the worst scumbags in New York, and sometimes we even manage to get a few troublemakers from out of town. Once they even found a Chicago police lieutenant drowned under one of the piers.
A well-attended place, I'd say.
It wasn't always like this. In the good times, the port was the apple of the eye of Brooklyn's commercial activity.
Tell me about the port.
It was the beginning of the century. New York felt like it was the capital of the whole world. I was just a young sailor with a few dollars in my pocket and no reason to stay on the mainland. The port owner was old Svensson, a Swede who seemed anything but a sailor. In fact, he couldn't have told you the difference between a swordfish and a canister of gasoline. But he knew business. Oh yes, he knew it all right. That guy transformed this place into one of the most important hubs on the East River in just 3 years.
This port doesn't seem like a place where a lot of ships could dock.
You shouldn't look at it now. Half of the port is now demolished and sold. Once there were more than 10 piers. Now there are only a couple. Old Svensson had them build huge ones, so that even the biggest fishing ships could dock.
Why was part of the port sold?
It's a long story. During the port's most active years, I worked at the harbor master's office. Since I was one of the few who could read or write, I was put in charge of handling port procedures. Everything seemed to go fine, business was good, but Svensson started to change over time. I'm not saying that he looked like one of us, but he started to lose that look of a king that he had when he got here, and he started getting strange visits. Then one day in April 1926, John Grenz, known as the Ace of Spades, found his body floating near the mooring right near his office. The police said that it was a suicide, but none of us believed it. Old Svensson had been... The funeral had barely happened when a certain Pruny, some fat, half-Italian, half-Turkish guy, took over for old Svensson. Within a year, he sold part of the port and fired half of us. I was the only one to keep my job, and I became the harbor master.
Fascinating story, but something doesn't make sense. The recession has shut down businesses that were a lot stronger than this little port. How have you managed to survive this long?
You're quick on your feet, son. The answer is simple. Cruises to freedom.
Cruises to freedom?
Right. If someone wants a change of scene without anyone knowing, this is his ticket to freedom.
You mean that criminals can illegally escape from this port?
You can do the math. I learned not to ask questions.
I don't need anything else.
Good luck, son.
The police sealed the port. I could ignore the seals and go in, but by now there's probably nothing of interest in the pier area. Forensics must have carried everything away by now.
Подожди, значит мне надо искать в полицейском участке челика с именем... Забыл как?
Ah,
The police
whatever you want.
Del Nero, you finally decide to give a full confession?
Goodbye.
See?
Hi, officer.
How can I help you?
Do you know?
Sergeant Diaz is...
I guess
that if you really...
done. Goodbye.
Good.
Forms to fill out. One of the things that I don't see why I should. It looks like these archives must be older than this building. I didn't like going through the archives when I was an officer. These archives must...
Бля, вот немножко я пропустил или не понял, не уловил. Что дальше-то?
The police archives could be a good place to look for information on this Samuel Cutter. I'm sure that there's a nice... I won't get too far. There aren't any knobs or locks. The only way to open... It doesn't make it... Posters. Thankfully, they put a...
Так, мне нужна карта.
Hi, officer.
How can I help?
I have some questions about your files.
What do you want to know?
How can I get in?
Simple. A signature on a form and 9 months of police academy. Buddy, access to the files is reserved to police officers. No badge, no access.
I don't have anything else to ask you.
Better.
Goodbye, officer.
Goodbye.
The department's benches. It only says Elliot on the door. They could have... Why? I wonder. Where does this crazy desire to open...
Да иди нафиг, потому что...
No clue.
Потому что...
One of the men...
Полицейский значок.
It looks like... Well, I don't see any other... It's too dark to see what's in the drawers.
В смысле нахуй?
Yes, let's see if I can find this damned access card. There's some kind of combination that locks the last drawer. a map of New York, and a few old photographs. I'm not really into collecting
Зеленый, белый, оранжевый какой-то. У нее флаг Мексики. Зеленый. Вот такой.
The combination was the Mexican flag, Victoria and her sentimentality. The advertisement of a ferry company that connects Manhattan to Glen Cove. Maybe that's where Malone sent Victoria. The card to get into the archives. I'll take it. I hope that Victoria doesn't get upset if I take her card for a while.
Но если она не узнает, что я, блядь, взломал ее кабинет, то, наверное, она не расстроится. А это что? Кабинет взломал, потом еще и сейф взломал. Ну, типа, комбинация, да, прям изи-изи. Хотя, если бы не флаг на карте, то не изи-изи.
As they say, open sesame. Interesting. If you put the name of the person you're looking for in this sort of calculator, you get the number of his file. I wonder what old Sam would think if he knew he'd been replaced by this gadget. New York police, you can trust us. I didn't trust the police when I was an officer. Imagine now that I'm accused of murder.
Бля, тупица. Написано же name, surname. Блять. Тупица, Сэм. Каттер. Какой-то погонял какой-то. Обрезатель, типа, или как это? Вырезатель. Вырыватель. Кат. Вырезать. Каттер.
Samuel Cutter's file is 6120057. I should remember it. All the files on the people arrested, everyone has a 7-digit number. Without it, it's all the file, everyone has it. All the file, everyone has it. Without the ID number of the file I need, I won't find anything.
Я не понял. Так у меня же есть номер.
Folder 6120057. Samuel Cutter. Here you are, Samuel Cutter. Samuel Cutter, attorney, jailed on May 7th, 1933 for the murder of 4 police officers.
Его оправдали за убийство 4, блядь. 4 полицейских, я...
Samuel, attorney. Samuel, attorney. Samuel, attorney. It's not a good idea to... Samuel, attorney. It's a summary of the trial where Cutter was accused of murdering 4 police officers. The verdict was unanimous.
Невиновен за,
Innocent due to
блядь.
lack of
Я
evidence.
что-то вообще
In
не
this
понимаю,
city,
как.
your innocence is proportionate to how good your lawyers are. Cutter's lawyers must have been the best on the block.
Не даст.
Here's the report on Cutter's incarceration. It looks like it's the work of that snake, Malone. Like Moore said, after his arrest, many others from Black Lily were arrested too, definitively dismantling the organization. The boss and his crew were arrested, and then there was peace. Not even the movies have such happy endings. Patrick Olson's name is among those of the people who were arrested. That's the same name Victoria mentioned when she was talking about the case in which Sean's name came up.
Патрик Олсон. Ладно, хоть не Суэйзи. Олсон. Братья Олсон, что ли? Сестры Олсон, братья Олсон.
Patrick Olson's file is 608. Without the File 6088090, Patrick Olson. Let's see what I can find in this file. Patrick Olson, a gardener. This man's profile doesn't really seem to be that of a criminal. It looks more like that of an ideal neighbor. His arrest report. He was with his family when they arrested him for the bombing of Rick's Cafe on the night of November 5th, 1933. A regular gardener without any record who blows up a cafe on 81st Street. Kind of odd. The report is just a bunch of pointless bureaucratic stuff. There are no details about the bombing. Files. His arrest he was with a regular guard. The report is just... It's not a good idea.
Так, и чё? Вот и чё я узнал?
There isn't a file on Sean. It probably wasn't filed yet.
Томасо Венаци. Венанци. Венанзи.
No file with this name.
Томасо Венанзи.
When I was a police officer, this was old Sam's station. He handled the archive. He knew the location of every file by heart. You told him the name of a guy, and he could tell you which rack and shelf it was on. He was a good man whose job was to file murder and assault reports. No, I didn't cut.
Так, окей. По фактам, что я узнал, и что мне надо делать, не понимаю.
Hi, officer. How can I help you? What do you want?
I don't have.
Better. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Блять, такое ощущение, что я как будто бы что-то не узнал в архиве. Странное ощущение, типа, на самом деле.
There aren't any. As they say, open. Folders. This report says that after the lucky incarceration of Samuel Cutter, and Patrick Olson was among them. That's the same name Victoria mentioned when she was talking about the case in which Sean. Newspapers. The New York Voice, to be precise. As soon as it's printed, at least a dozen copies are filed here, for research. I'll look for the edition from... No, this date...
Понял.
File 6. His arrest report. He was with his family when they arrested him for the bombing of Rick's Cafe on the night of November 5th, 19... A regular guard... The report is...
5 ноября 33. 5 ноября 33.
I'll look for the edition.
33 ноября.
It's the date of the bombing of Rick's Cafe that Patrick Olson was blamed for. There must be more information about it in the paper. Here's the article about the bombing. The article says that at 12:23 a.m., an explosion completely destroyed Rick's Cafe, a joint on 81st Street near Central Park. 3 people died in the explosion. The cafe's owner, Nick Fantini, 43 years old, married. A woman walking by the joint, Eleanor Guter, 37 years old, teacher, and August Zindler, 58 years old, esteemed archaeology professor at the Civic Museum in New York. Zindler, Professor Zindler. Dannazione. It's the same name that was in my dream. So far, these visions have always been correct. Maybe I should visit the Civic Museum in New York. The article says that at 3 people died. The cafe's a woman walked and August Zindler. Done. So far, these visions.
Ну да, блин, подозрительно, на самом деле, странно. Ему снятся сны, в которых он видит реальность. Очень странно. Музей. А музей ночью можно поехать? Это норм?
Where you?
The Civic
Okay.
Civic Museum of New York. It closed about 3 years ago for some expansion work, but the crisis stopped everything halfway. Since then, it's stayed this way, a mausoleum of our past that no one cares about anymore. The museum's opening hours. Obviously, they don't offer any night visits. The main entrance to the museum. I seriously doubt they left the doors unlocked. The main entrance. No, it doesn't. I don't see how. I seriously. This museum has been closed. The economic crisis has convinced more than one mayor that climbing scaffolding isn't exactly on the.
В смысле, блин, зато можно попасть в этот. Бля, вот тут был типа нормальный вариант, наверное. Но я почему-то его не увидел.
All the windows are closed. Some scaffolding parts. No, I don't see what I should do with it. Nothing interesting here. There's my reward for having traveled halfway across Manhattan to get here. The door is open, and it certainly wasn't the caretaker who left it like that. The lock was shot in. Whoever it was had to be very interested in something that's inside the museum, or what was inside the museum. I don't think anyone will be too upset if I take a little nighttime tour of the museum. These crates must contain the exhibits that are being moved from the various rooms. I'll admit that these beasts must have been pretty scary at their time, but nothing compared to an ambitious New York lawyer. A map of ancient Persia. The newspaper article that I found at the police department was about the professor's studies on Persia. I don't see anything interesting. I don't see. I don't see. I don't see. I don't see anything interesting here. I don't see any. I don't see. Professor August Zindler. So the professor was the curator of the Islamic area. And from what I read, that's where his office was. Better take a look, even though I have no idea where this Islamic area might be. I don't see any. This is the way to the main entrance, but I don't need to go there. I can't go through the entire museum looking for the Islamic area. I Maps of pre-Columbian America, enormous forests and huge prairies inhabited by tribes of redskins. Then the conquistadors arrived with alcohol, guns, and diseases, and exterminated whatever they couldn't buy. It's evolution, baby. The display cases were all emptied. There's nothing inside them. The display case.
Жалко, тут он не может бегать, блин. Ну ладно, он еще ходит более-менее адекватно, как бы, можно так сказать, если можно так сказать. Но не слишком медленно.
The showcase is empty. All the exhibits must have been moved somewhere else. Probably out of fear that they might have gotten damaged during the work, or that some worker might have decided to take a souvenir home. I could use this floor plan to figure out where the Islamic area is. That's where Professor Zindler had his office. But the room names have been replaced with numbers on these floor plans, and I won't get far unless I find out the number for the professor's area of expertise. Unless I figure out the number for the Islamic area, they won't be very helpful.
Понял.
I can't go through the entire museum looking for the Islamic area. I'd definitely get lost. These crates must contain the exhibits that are being moved. The showcase is empty, probably out of fear that they might have gotten...
Блять, я чего-то не разглядел на карте или что? Подожди. А, вот. Нет?
I don't see anything. I don't see. I don't see. I don't see. I don't see anything. These crates must contain the exhibits that are being. I don't need it right now. A rusted ladder. A rusted... I don't need it right now, but when I want to get a tetanus infection... I don't see how I could use... Unless I figure out the number for the Islamic area. I could use this floor plan to figure out where the Islamic area is. That's where Professor Zindler had it. But the room names have been replaced with numbers on these floor plans, and I won't get far unless I find out the number for the professor's area of expertise. No, I don't see what I should do with it. Some crates are labeled, but it's too dark to see what's written on them. Let's see. Let's see. These crates, unlike the others, are not labeled. These crates, unlike the other. These crates. Let's see. Let's see.
Там только один остается, он тут дальний, да?
No, it doesn't make any sense. I don't see. The display cases were... I think I can do... I'll admit that these beads... A dinosaur's shin bone is just what I was missing from...
Бля, я не понял. Я не понял, что там за нейминг у этих комнат, блядь, вообще не понял. Я...
Unless I figure out the number for the Islamic area, they won't be... Unless I figure... These crates must contain the exhibit. The label says the find in this case comes from Kaole, Tanzania. It was... The label says the find... These crates must con...
Как?
The label says the find in this case comes from Kaole, Tanzania. It was displayed in room 20 before it...
Мне нужен исламоведение, но это было что-то с Ираком связано, нет?
These crates must... The label says the find in this case comes... These crates must... The label says the... These crates must... The label says the find in this case, Iraq, should be in Professor Zindler's area of...
Блядь, надо просто было кликать на эти надписи. Ну, ёбаный в рот. Двойную работу сделал, можно сказать.
Unless I figure out the number for the Islamic area, they won't be very... I could use this floor plan to but the room names have been replaced with numbers on these... Unless I figure...
В смысле? Подожди. Я, блядь, не понял. Подожди, что он сказал?
A map of it. The newspaper... I don't see anything interesting here. I don't see anything. I don't see...
Бля, еще раз. Повторите, пожалуйста.
These crates must contain the exhibits that are being moved from the various
Так.
rooms. The label says the Iraq should be in Professor Zindler's area of expertise. I should check on the Islamic map. A map of... I don't see anything interesting here. I don't see anything interesting. I don't see anything. I don't see any. I don't see. I don't see. I don't see any. I don't see any. I don't see. I don't see. I don't see.
Что делать? Какую карту надо? Какую карту меня просят посмотреть? Карту ислама? Подожди, какую? Не понимаю.
I could use this floor plan to figure out where the Islamic area is. That's where Professor Zindler had his office. But the room names have been replaced with numbers on these floor plans.
О, бля, мозг ломается, все.
These crates must contain the
Самара, Ирак.
The label says the find in this case comes from Samara, Iraq. It was displayed in room 13 before it was moved
Room
here.
13.
Iraq should be in Professor Zindler's area of expertise. I should check on the Islamic map. The label says Iraq should be in Professor Zindler's area of expertise. I should check on the Islamic map.
Самара, Ирак. Что мне надо чекнуть?
Samara. That's the same name I read on one of the crates in the atrium. So its
Я же
contents must
кликал
be
до
displayed in
этого.
the Islamic
Но
area.
я же кликал,
It was
блядь.
from room 13.
Бля, я могу стрим...
Room 13 must be the old Islamic area. And that's where the professor's office must be. Now I have to find the directions to room 13.
Бля, я же кликал на Самара. Я тут на каждое название кликнул, мне ничего... Бля, ну что за бред? Вот что за бред, серьезно?
Good. Now that I know that the Islamic area has the number 13, I can use this map to find it. Good. Now all I have to do is find Professor Zindler's office in room 13.
Бля, ну это, конечно, капец лабиринт.
There is nothing of interest in here. It wasn't easy, but eventually I made it to my destination.
Так, ладно, я сохраняюсь. Узнаем потом. Тоже интересного в этой комнате. 13.